Hello, welcome to Squid Players. We are here doing a tier list, which is something I want to do for a while. And I thought, because I'm currently watching One Piece, making my way through it, why not have a little tier list of this? So what I'm thinking we'll do is the first half, or pre-time skip arcs. We'll tier list them, because that's what I've watched so far. I'm at Dressrosa at the moment. So we'll do a little tier list of that and see where they all end up. So as you can see here, the tiers I've made. We've got Masterpiece for top one, Great TV for the next one, Would Rewatch for the one after that, Solid, mid tier, kind of like Would Rewatch. I think you can kind of separate them. Solid, it's a solid piece of TV, but I think the Would Rewatch is slightly above just because it's something I'd like to go back and watch, kind of thing. And then below that is where get a bit pooey. Background watch, so you just have it on in the background as you're doing something, and then snoozing. Had me snoozing while I was watching it. So yeah, let's get on with it. Let's have a little peruse through these. So we're starting off with Romance Dawn. Now, Romance Dawn, where the whole story started, I think we need to put it on Great TV just because it is where the whole story started. It's where we meet Luffy and his adventure begins. It is solid, and I think it does definitely start the story off well. Moving into Orange Town, man, this is where we meet Buggy. We also have the scene with the dog where he's looking after the house, which definitely is put at the heartstrings. I think I'll probably put it in Would Rewatch. I think it is good. I just think there's definitely better arcs out there. I think I remember when I was watching it, most of this list will be a bit fudged up because when I was watching it I knew some of the bits going forward, and there's definitely parts of the story that I wanted to get to. So I feel like if you're watching something and you have that kind of in your background, in the back of your head, like, oh, there's something coming up, you kind of just want to get through that story. So I think I remember when I was watching this, I was definitely like, oh, the next couple of arcs where we meet some more of the crew, we get more into story and stuff. But this was a solid arc. Buggy is just hilarious. He's a great character. Definitely comes into it a bit more later on in the story, but I think we could definitely stick in a Would Rewatch just because of the some of the later on battles where the dog's looking after the house and the crew's going up against Buggy's crew. I think it is a good watch. Syrup Village. This is a tough one for me because I think it's between these two. I think I'm going to put it solid because we do get the Usopp introduction, and the beginning of the story is good. I think the battle when they're on the hill, and it just goes on for so long. I feel you could definitely say that about a lot of One Piece, but for me it was a bit of a snooze. So I think it's getting a bit of justice being in solid, but it definitely could go to background watch for me. But it's definitely a great story with Usopp's introduction. Next up, we've got Baratier. I think great watch. Great. Would Rewatch. That's another one. It's in between these two. But I'm going to put it in Great TV because I just love that whole introduction of Sanji. You see his interaction with, what's his name? Don Krieg's crewmate, his first mate. And I think that's a great story. Just over the whole arc. He introduces to him, he's abandoned, he gives him the food, and then he turns out to be a bad guy, and then he kind of gets a bit of redemption. It's a great story. I definitely feel like, again, I'm going to stop saying it because the whole of One Piece, you can definitely say, has that aspect of it just is drawn out for so long. But I definitely feel like Baratier brings it back with the action. Don Krieg is not a good villain because he's just someone you don't want to hate. And we get the introduction of Mihawk, which again is a great character. He has a fight against Zoro, which is amazing, and just that interaction with Zoro and Luffy at the end, where he's like, "I'm never going to do that again." It just kind of cements that brotherhood they have throughout the whole show. So I think that great TV is up there. Arlong Park it's top tier great TV. I think it's above all of them. I think Masterpiece. I already know some of them that are going in Masterpiece, so I can't knowing what I have in there. I can't put other things in there, but I think it's definitely top just because it definitely the whole beginning story of One Piece where they have all of these arcs here. It is one big story kind of on its own, and this is just a perfect ending to it. It has the whole core beginning crew together. They have the big fight at the end, and that scene with Nami and Luffy is just heart-wrenching. Like, she's just there stabbing her arm, and he's just like, no, you know what, hat on her, and he's just going for battle, and he's like, that's his way of showing how much she means to him. Like, she's betrayed him, she's done so much to him, but he's just there like, nah, you're still part of my crew. So I think that's definitely just a great story, and it definitely it gets to you. Like, it does get to you because it's like the animation is great, and then they go off after that. They're like, yeah, they put their feet on the barrel and they're like, this is what we want to do, and it just I think that if you just had that as one like introduction storyline to something like a movie or something, it's a good starting movie kind of thing. So I think that was good. Logtown. The filler kind of like arcs in between the stories, they're very much like they can be this, but they also can be up here. Logtown I think is solid. I'm going to put it above Sirit Village, just because we get introductions to new characters. We get a bit more of the background of like the Marines, a tad. Not massively, but we get more characters with Smoker. And I think the whole thing of Luffy's there to see where Goldie Roger died. And that's kind of, it's quite poetic in a way that is who Luffy's aiming to become, like the king of the pirates. So he's gone there to go like see what he's got to match up against, kind of like that. And it's a massive like thing for the pirate community, I'm sure. So I think that's a solid arc. What other things happen in Logtown? We get Monkey D. Dragon. He comes into it. We have no idea about him, but he comes in and saves Luffy. Which at the time, like all this stuff, like it's mental One Piece because it has so much world building. Where at the time, this guy came in and saved Luffy, and I'm like, what? What's going on? Like, why has he just come in? He's just rocked up and like saved him. Like, who is he? And we hear nothing about him for ages. So I think that was a solid setup. So I think it definitely I'm gonna push it to would rewatch because I think that it was a short, nice story, and they had different bits going on. So I think definitely put that in. Buggy's Crew Adventure. It's short, it's sweet. I would rewatch for a fun time. I think we'll put it there. We'll put it top of would rewatch because it is just funny. It's Buggy just being Buggy. Next up, we have Reverse Mountain, which I think for an introduction to the Grand Line and like the next big adventure for the Straw Hats, I think it's very good. Well, what else happens in? They meet the whale. What's his name? My knowledge is terrible. We'll come back to that. But yeah, so they meet the whale, who we later on find out has some more details about it. But that was a good little story. A bit emotional as well. It was good. We have next is Whiskey Peak. Whiskey Peak for me is a solid. Again, it can be here, but I think we'll put it solid just because Soro definitely he came into his own in this kind of thing, and just say like he showed up a bit of what he can do when he took on all the Rogue Works agents. So I think we definitely have to give it its due there. But it was also a bit of like I could just stick it on in the background and watch this, and do something else. So we'll stick it there. I'm happy with that. The Diary of Kobe and Meppo, again solid. Just because it kind of just gives us a bit of an information of what's going on with them guys. Did I need it? Not really. They could have come back into it when they came into it later on, which is after Ennie's lobby. Yeah, I think. Yeah, so post Ennie's, they come back into it. I think if they had done that, I still would have been like Unreal. They've just been working at it kind of thing. But it's nice to have that kind of story. Little Garden, for me, this was a background watch, just because it was literally a background watch when I was doing it. I had other things going on. I just wanted a bit of One Piece in the background. I just wanted a bit of One Piece in the background, so I had that kind of on the background. So I think it's definitely a rewatch for me when I'm done with One Piece. I think knowing what's happening later on down the line, I think I need to go back and watch it anyway. So it's a rewatch, but for me, initially, it was a background watch. I can't remember too much what went on in that. Drum Island. I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. I think it's going just below Buggy's Crew Adventure. It was fun. It was massively drawn out to what I think it should have been. It's a great introduction to one of my favourite characters. I say one of my favourites. He's up there. He's not my favourite, but he's definitely up there. Which being Chopper, Tony Chopper. Great introduction for him. His whole backstory, especially with the doctor he's with, for his backstory. That whole story is very emotional, and you get a good introduction to Tony Chopper. So that was good. The villain, Wapo. Correct me if I'm wrong. But he was okay. He was funny. But I think it was a bit. There's definitely better villains. I think the end of it where he shoots the flag and Luffy's standing there, flag in hand, like this is what the pirate flag kind of means to them. Kind of just cements that whole pirate culture, which is good. We're coming up to a biggie now, being Alabasta. And when I say biggie, this is a biggie. This is definitely one of the hump, over the hump kind of like arcs. If you don't get past this, you're not going to watch the rest of One Piece kind of thing. Like, obviously, if you don't watch, don't get past it. But if you get past this, you're in for the long haul kind of thing. And I think it is. The story is great, and I think it's a great first kind of like massive thing in the Grand Line for them. Everyone has their thing that they're doing. There's just parts where it's just so drawn out that it was just a bit of a background watch for some episodes, but I was a bit more on it with what's going on. But we get an introduction to Porcus Diaz, which is his character is just like he's one of my favourite characters, and I say that knowing he is like top 2, top 3 kind of thing. Obviously where I'm at the moment, but yeah, he was very good. I enjoyed him, and just the story. Vivi, like her character was very good. Introduction to her pet duck. He was funny. But yeah, I thought it was a very good arc. It was just a bit drawn out for me, um, but I think it's saved by the end of it. The ending is just, again, there's so many different times when this series just grabs you and just is like, this is emotional stuff. Like it does portray it quite well. I think the longevity of how long the arcs are, or like just how long the series is, does help it, because you do grow with these characters and stuff. You keep on like, you watch a lot, you invest a lot of time into these characters, and then the payoff is good, and the emotional points are emotional, and just the point where she's shouting for them like, let me join your crew, like maybe one day I'll join you guys and stuff. And the whole point is to save her, they're not paying her any attention because she could get in trouble. So it's very like sad, and it's just like she's there, and then they all just put their hands up. They've got this cross that signifies a connection, and then she puts hers up, and then a little duck puts his up. So that's very good. I enjoyed that bit. That's good. So I think that definitely saves it. It was up there, still in great TV, but I think it pushes it. It was probably here for me, but like, it pushes it up, definitely. Jaya, I would rewatch. I think it's here. It's good. It's enjoyable. It didn't feel too long, and it has a very, very poignant, I think that's the word I'm trying to use, point where you meet Blackbeard, at the time not knowing it's Blackbeard, and he just gives this speech about pirates and the philosophy of pirates and like why and what they do, and kind of and it's very well, I think the word's poignant, but yeah, I thought that was very good. But it's always fun to have these filler arcs kind of between the big arcs, where you can just relax and be like, alright, all that massive world building stuff is done. They're just going around shopping, and they bump into people, and they have little adventures going along the way. But yeah, that was good. I enjoy the filler arcs. Of the post arcs are always good for seeing how the rest of the world is, and I think that's what One Piece does so good at the beginning of the show, is it shows that all these people we meet along the way, when the crew is done with their adventure, we go back to them and we see how they react to the adventure they're having, which is, it's always good to see, because you do kind of have that thing with shows sometimes, like you meet people and you're like, you never see them again, whereas this, they bring the characters back, they have a little reaction of what's going on with Straw Hats, and we see the price increase in their bounties, and that's kind of signifying how powerful they're getting, which is very good. But next up we have Sky Pier. So Sky Pier, again like Alabasta, and again like One Piece, is very long. But with Sky Pier, I think I'm putting it in Masterpiece because it drew me in a lot more. I'm not saying it's difficult, because it's top tier, great TV, bottom tier Masterpiece. Because there was points when I had to rewatch episodes, because I was like, I have no idea what happened in the last episode, because it's just, they don't grab you as much like certain episodes, and then there's like a block of episodes which is like so good, the story's good and it's pushing it along. We have good battles, and I think the ending, the last, let's say, probably about 40 episodes, 40-ish episodes of Sky Pier is where it really is at, because you have Enel versus Luffy and all that going on, and that's just good, and it just shows how powerful Luffy is, because he can go up against this, let's be honest, a god, who, if he was down not on Sky Pier, would probably be the most powerful person down there. So it kind of shows how powerful Luffy is. At the same time, how lucky Luffy is that he has the gum fruit, because he can just become he is rubber, so a bit of plot armor, but yes, it's very good. G8. So this is where they come crashing down from Skypiea and they land directly in a marine fortress, which I thought was good. I enjoyed it very much. I think it's difficult. These tiers aren't great. They're not really helping me because it's a rewatch. It's a great rewatch kind of thing. It's just like it's a rewatch but great TV because it was really enjoyable to watch. I would rewatch it. I'm just trying to think of any points in it which are like pushing it over the edge for me. But I can't think of anything which is making me think, let's put it in would rewatch, because it means I can rewatch and get a bit of a understanding of things. On to the next questionable arc, which a lot of people aren't fans of. It's not a snoozing for me. I don't think much is going to get into a snoozing. If anything, it would be a snoozing. But I think it's going to be bottom tier background watch, because it's a between arc filler, which it was just so goofy. But I think it deserves a bit of credit because it did have some funny bits in it. Luffy wearing an afro is just top tier comedy in One Piece kind of thing. Suddenly he just wears an afro and he's just a different person. He's a different Luffy, and it's just funny. Next up we have Water 7. So at this point, so I believe it was Skypiea is where we get Robin introduced. Oh no, in Alabasta we get Robin introduced to us. Skypiea is where she joins the crew, and she's a bit of a question mark above her. She's a bit of an unknown. She's not completely part of the crew, let's say, but she's definitely becoming part. But I think I watched it thinking she's just kind of like pushed herself into the crew. They don't want her around. She doesn't. She wants to be there, kind of. It was very strange. At the end of Alabasta, we got to see the pyroglyphs, and we got a bit more of an understanding of what's going on. Kind of, I say we get a bit more of an understanding. We don't get an understanding, but I definitely think that was a well built scenario of what's going on. Like with the poneglyphs, it showed us a bit of that. But back to where we are with Water 7. It's difficult here because Water 7 and Enies Lobby are separate arcs on this. So we'll treat it as separate arcs. So Water 7 is going great TV. It's going to go there beneath Arlong Park, above Romance Dawn. This arc was very good. It's long, but it didn't feel long. Frankie as a character introduction, it is just a massive Frankie introduction. It was so good. He's such a good character. Like when we first meet him, he's a bit of a bad guy, and then you see this side to him where he just wants to have this family kind of thing, and his backstory is heartbreaking as well, with all that kind of stuff that goes on. We get a reason why he's a cyborg, but we also have this background story going on where Robin's gone, and like at the beginning I completely washed over. I completely brushed over that. I remember seeing it and thinking, okay, that's a bit weird, and then later down the line I was like, we haven't seen Robin for ages, what's going on there? And that's when suddenly like we have these people show up with the masks, stuff's happening, and then out of nowhere, bang, Robin's one of these people, and it's like, what is going on? Like, okay, we have a bit of mystery going on in this arc. We have action. We have emotional points, and we have some great characters introduced. So I think it definitely deserves a great TV slot. This, however, is what would have pushed it over for me. If it was one combined arc, it would be a masterpiece, Water 7. But Enies Lobby is just a great watch for the action, the heart-wrenching emotion. Like, some of the points in this arc definitely get you. And I think this is where I know this is where, like, we get the whole Robin backstory, which, like I say, is heart wrenching. Like, that whole story, her when she's up there screaming, "I don't want to die. I want to be part of your crew," kind of thing. Like, that was just great. It was a bit. I found the episodes weird because it kept on start. Like, every episode would start, and there was about 5 episodes where we watched the same thing over and over again. So I was a bit like, okay, I don't need to see this over and over again, but it was still good. I thought the villain was just such a he was so annoying. I just wanted him gone, which made the ending so much better because he just got what he deserved. Frankie was a great part of this. Like, he was up there with Robin, and he burnt the plans, and it's just like, okay, this Frankie is cementing his spot in the crew. And oh my god, I didn't even mention Luffy versus. It's going up there. It's going up to the top of great TV. It's very, very slim, but Luffy versus Usopp. Usopp in this whole arc, Water 7 and his lobby, like, if they just progressed him from this point, he would be his character growth would be so good. Unfortunately, they kind of pushed him back, but him and the way he was being Sniper King, Soga King, so good, and I thought that character was so good. I think it's annoying that Sniper King never comes back. What they could have done is just every time they go into these scenarios where there's fights and stuff like that, Usopp can wear the Sniper King costume and feel confidence, kind of thing. I think that's what he needed. And then we could have that Sniper King character be really good, be a bit scared, be a bit goofy, but have those moments where he gives Sniper King kind of thing. But yeah, and his lobby is just like so good. The point where Luffy asks Sniper King to burn down the flag, that point is the moment where the whole series just flips on its head, and it's now the Straw Hats versus the government, and there's still so much more to come kind of from that. Just that one action of burning down a flag. Next up, we have Post Enies, which again, like Jaya and G8, all those filler arcs. It's good, it's enjoyable, but we had so much more information come from this one. So I think I'm going to put it here. I think it needs to go. We'll go next. Alabasta. I can't put it above Alabasta. Arlen Park. I just love that ending for Arlen Park. We'll put it there. So we get the new bounties. Everyone gets a bounty this time. Tony Chopper gets 50 berries. Sanji gets his picture wrong, which is just hilarious, and it gets more hilarious down the line. But no, this is a great little, just a relaxing time after that emotional bomb of Enies Lobby. So we can just chill, have a bit of a chill with the Straw Hats, and we get Garp come back, which is always fun. Like, his character is just great. His interactions with Luffy. We have, like I said earlier, we have Kobe and Meppo come back into it. And like I said, if I had this where post Enies, Kobe comes back into it, and he's just more confident. He's just grown up. He's had a massive glow up. Then I think I'd have been fine with that. I'd have been like, okay, yeah, he's just been working hard at the Marines. But no, it's good. I enjoyed Post Denny's. Thriller Bark. We had a bit of a scary time with this one. I enjoyed Thriller Bark. I think it was good. I think there was definitely good points in it. I think there was a couple points where I was a bit like, okay, let's get to the next point, or I don't really want to be watching. There was many, like most arcs, there's many different storylines going on with different characters. And I remember there's one storyline in Thriller Bark. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it was just like every time it came on, I'd commit to it, but I'd be like, this is just, let's get to the next storyline. Let's get to the next. I want to see what Luffy's doing. I want to see what Zoro's doing, kind of thing. But no, I did enjoy Thriller Bark, and I definitely want to rewatch it so I can see the whole story from a different point of view, from watching more. Sabaody Archipelago. This is solid, but it also sets up a lot. We will put it in a bottom of Great TV. So Sabaody Archipelago, which I'm quite happy I got that bang on. It's just a good watch, I believe. It has the introduction of the what are they called? The Grand Dragon. The annoying, self-righteous, the Celestial Dragons. So we get an introduction to the Celestial Dragons, and they're just straight away you're just like let's get some fucking gum rocket launcher on these guys. Honestly, like, so annoying. But no, there's a nice storyline going along with it, where it kind of showed us that's this side of the One Piece Grand Line, where there is slavery, there is these people who are like this, and I think it kind of gives us a higher purpose of who we want to be taking on, kind of thing. We have an introduction of some massive characters. I think, like I said, not all the way there, but some of these characters seem like they will be big later on, and it's all the next generation characters. Obviously Trafalgar Law being one of the, like, a big one. He's like, I'm watching Dressrosa at the moment. He's a massive part of that, and I think he's definitely up there as one of my favourite characters still. And so it's a good introduction to him. We had Eustace Kid, Jory Bonnie, I think. Some of these characters I haven't seen more of, but there's loads of characters that we get introduced in this arc, which is cool. And we get an introduction to Silver's Rayleigh, who was on Goldie Rogers' crew, which is like massive. Like, it's an absolute legend. And these were just strolling upon him, and there he is. And he shows us a bit of what he can do. But let's just remember, he's old. He's past his prime, and he's still doing this mental stuff. So that was fun. Next up, we have Amazon Lily. This arc for me was solid. Would rewatch. Yeah. I enjoyed Tony Chopper's introduction more. Amazon Lily was good, solid. It had introduction of what's her name? Boa Hancock. It had the introduction of Boa Hancock, which is hilarious. Her falling in love with Luffy and that whole thing. But yeah, so I think it was a solid watch. And I would love to rewatch that just for some of the parts in it. It was funny. Separation specials, Straw Hat separation serial. So I'm guessing this is where we saw what was happening with Straw Hats, because obviously at the end of, I completely lost over it. sub-AOD archipelago at the end, all the Straw Hats are taken to other places by Kuma, and it's just mental. And what has happened? My God! Like when I watched that, I was like, they've all just died. What has happened here? And obviously we see Luffy fall to Amazon Lily, and we're kind of like, okay, no, they're fine. So it was nice to see where they all were. Some of the storylines were better than others. Frankie's was a bit off for me. I didn't enjoy it. Robin's was snooze. Like if they were all separate, I would have Robin's and snoozing. Frankie's in background watch. Would rewatch for Zoro's. That was good. Snoozing for Sanji's, just because I thought it just annoyed me. Possibly background watch actually. Background watch, but yeah, it just annoyed me a bit. Nami's I liked. Would rewatch Nami's, and Usopp was solid. On Chopper again, I think Chopper's a background watch for his one. I'm trying to remember what he had the birds, didn't he? Again, like yeah, that's what I mean. I don't really, but it was nice to see them and where they were and what was happening. And obviously we got the whole thing. Was this? So this was along with okay, yeah. So we had this going along with Impel Down and Marineford. So I'll come back to Straw Hat separation. I'll bring this down here because I want to speak more on it. Impel Down. So this was. So this for me, Impel Down, Marineford felt like one big arc. So kind of like Water 7 and Enies Lobby. If they were both together, it would be a different, like, it would be more. But Impel Down for me was very good. I think the different levels and like you interacting with different people along the way kept it fresh. It was good. And there was the characters, the prison guards introductions and who they were, and they kept up with the story. They were very good with the story. And I think I can't remember who the main warden was, but man, he was like, he should have been his power was ridiculous. Like he should be a lot more powerful than he was. But no, it was solid. It was a great TV. But this is where like this story just got me. Marineford is just action. Action, and it's just so good. I think I spent a span of like 3 or 4 days just watching Marineford. When I wasn't watching it, I was like, I just want to watch the next one. I was at work and I was just like, no, I kind of just want to, let's just clock out, go home, and see what's happening. I could speak so much on Marineford, but I think one moment is obviously the main. There's so much that happens in Marineford, but I mean Ace. That whole scene, like I'm getting chills now because that was just, it was very good, emotional, and it was peak One Piece for me. I think if there was one arc I could go back and watch, not having that information, not having the first watch, having a fresh eyes, Marineford would be that arc. There wasn't a moment where I was like, this is boring. I think all the little side fights, obviously you want to watch the main fight, you want to know what's happening, and it feels like that, I think it was like an hour and half an hour goes on for so long, but because so much is going on, there's so many different battles going on, that it keeps it fresh, and you are just keeping watching it, and it is fun. But the ending, just, my God. Going into this series, I had never watched an anime, but this series just, Marineford is peak One Piece, and it was just so good. Yeah, that's all I can really say. Whitebeard as a character, we saw him a bit before in a couple bits, but like he would do anything for his family kind of thing, and it's the contrast of hit, like you got Whitebeard and you got Blackbeard kind of thing, like those are completely different characters. Like you got Whitebeard who is just family orientated, he's got his sons, like his sons, but they are his world, and he is like this massive character, and he's ace. Oh, all right, we'll move on. Post-war, sorry. So the Straw Hat separation special. So obviously we got we got to that point where at the end of their stories, the individual stories, they all got whiff of what happened at Marineford. And I think this ties in with post-war. So the Straw Hat separation, I'm going to put it in top solid. Because I think the ending for me of each of the stories where they find out about what happened in Marineford, and they're all just like instantly like they're all like, we need Luffy, we need to get to Luffy kind of thing, because that's all their minds are thinking of. Like Nami just was fighting to get to him kind of thing. It was so I think that's, yeah. But then they get the post-war where Luffy goes back and he tells them all in a post in a newspaper, 2 years. Like we're gonna do this for 2 years. We're gonna be separated. We're gonna build up our strength, and we're gonna come back better. And they all get that message. Like crazy how he put in a little secret code on. I think he had a tattoo on his arm, and they all got it. And they all did. They all did what their captain said, and they followed the orders. Post-war up there, great TV for me. I think it goes just above post-Ennies for me. But yeah, that is the pre-time skip arcs. Let me know. I don't think I want to change anything really. Kind of happy with where some of them are. But let me know what you think. Let's be nice and let's have a conversation about, One Piece, and let's talk about. We don't want to be berating people and have their opinions, because I'm sure some people might have Little Garden up here, maybe have Sky up here down here. It just is your own opinion. But what this is, and what it can do, is just create that conversation for people and have that discussion of what they've enjoyed, what's better, all this kind of thing. Which I want. I want you guys to put in the comments of where you'd put certain arcs, why, and we can have a talk about it. But that is me for now. Pre-time skip arcs for One Piece. Let me know what you think. And when I'm done with post-time skip, which is going to be a while, we'll do a new one. We'll do an updated one. And what I think we'll see is some of these changing it, because they are world building. They have things later down the line is going to impact them. So I'd love to see what you think, guys. All right, that's me out. See you guys. Bye.